Well, hello there, sweeties. I see you've stumbled upon my podcast. Seeming as you're here to stay, why not grab some snacks and a drink and follow me as we discuss all things Who. So, as you know, my name is Steffi, and this is the Hello Sweetie podcast. Pretty much this podcast came together. I've been planning it for a long time, like in the last 6 months or so. I do apologize that it's been very delayed. Just I got a new job and life got in the way, and then like my mental health was crap, and I didn't have my equipment, and it was a whole thing. Um, but I'm now here, and I'm queer, and we're here to talk about Doctor Who. People that know me know that I cannot shut up about Doctor Who. Like, all of my life, everyone and their mother knew that I love Doctor Who, so it was kind of it was just one of those like things where like when I was a kid, unfortunately, like I was like kind of severely bullied for loving Doctor Who. Like it was a whole thing. It was a very 2010s thing because obviously like everyone knew what the show was, but they thought it was really nerdy and geeky. So like they were like, why is she like loving Doctor Who? And also as a young black girl, it's like you wouldn't expect me to love Doctor Who. Like you'd think I'd be, because anime was more accepted back then, which was really weird to me. Considering like it was also a nerdy thing, but I guess it was the social norm essentially, especially among the black community. Um, Thankfully, the bullying stopped. It lasted, I think, my first year of high school, and then like secondary school, high school for you American folk. Um, but it's really fitting today that I'm talking about this show because today is 20 years since New Who came out. Um, 20 years ago today, I actually didn't see the very first episode. So with me, I watched the episode during my first episode was Dalek. Um, that was my first memory of Doctor Who. Um, so essentially with Doctor Who, how I actually got into the show was I had a friend from primary school. Those who don't know, it's like kind of American. It's kind of like preschool. I think anyway. And I was on the bus on the way to school, and a friend of mine and his sister had like a Doctor Who magazine. So my nosy ass self was like, "Oh, what is this?" And then the rest is history. Like literally after that, and at that time it was when Dalek was coming out. So I watched it. My life was over the minute I watched that episode. It's just ridiculous. um. So yeah, and 20 years in Doctor Who, like Doctor Who changed my life in a way that I will never. I don't regret watching the show. Um, it got me through some really hard times. I was made homeless when I was 12, and so 14 years of my life I was homeless for, and for the first couple of years Doctor Who really got me through that shit, man. Like it really got me through. Um, I will try not to swear in this podcast because I know it's Doctor Who related. So I will try my best not to swear. But because people that know me, I swear like a sailor, so I do apologize if I do end up. I'll probably bleep it out or something. Maybe we'll see. Um, but yeah, and this show has changed my life. I've made incredible friends through this show. Um, and memories I have of the show, like going to see the 50th in the cinema, like in 3D as well, was actually insane. Like I think I remember wearing my Doctor Who, because one of my best friends, their mum passed away in 2017, but I remember she was a Doctor Who fan as well. And I remember she bought me like a t-shirt, like a TARDIS t-shirt. It's a big on the inside. I still have it, and it still fits me. Bearing in mind, I wore this when I was 12, and it was meant to be a small size. God knows how, God forbid, I don't know what was going on. Don't ask me. Don't ask what it was. Like, it's just insane. But yeah. um, so essentially, like, that's how kind of my experience with the show. But also, I became a cosplayer in 2021, and I had always wanted to have the Doctor's costume, but as a broke black girl living in Northwest London, it wasn't always possible. I'd always wanted to like get Martha's jacket, never got to get that. I always wanted to cosplay Clara, never got to cosplay Clara. Always wanted to cosplay Matt Smith. Fun fact: so my favorite Doctor is Matt Smith. My favorite companion is Martha. And I'd say second favorite is River Song, of course. And I pretty much, this podcast is kind of homage to River Song essentially, because River Song is also a character that made me realize that I was queer. It's one of those things, guys. You know how it goes. But yeah, that's essentially like New Who and how I kind of got into it. So what I'm willing to discuss today, as you can tell by the title, is going to be a very heavy episode today. For the first episode, it's going to be very heavy. So as you know, in 2007, Freema Agyeman played Miss Martha Jones throughout series 3, and not knowing at the time, it would change Doctor Who history forever. Particularly having Martha being the first black companion change everything that we thought possible that could be done with the show. I mean, like, obviously, yeah, you know, there has been, like, I think there was 1 or 2 black actors back in the very early days, like in the 60s and 70s, who were in the show. I think it was 2, it might be 1, I can't remember. 1 or 2. I think there's a black character in Unit, isn't there, as well? I think in the 70s there was. I forget their name. I do apologize. But obviously it wasn't like a semi-permanent thing, quote unquote, to say that. And as much as I would like love to talk about the positive impact that Martha's had on the show, because if you think about it, you know, first black companion of the show, she really paved the way for, you know, Bill Potts, you know, Ryan, Yaz. Like, we never had an Asian companion before. Like, yes, we've had an Asian family in a Doctor Who spin-off, but there was never an Asian companion. So, like, you know, we had Rani Chandra and her family in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but we never had an Asian companion. So, like, that was new. You know, it paved the way for Ryan, Yaz, Bill, and now we have Shiri Gatwa as a Doctor who is a black actor and who's also queer. So it also, you know, it makes it better for the show. It, like, you know, but also I wanted to discuss how Martha's series also show like how negative her time could have been too, because like there are definitely some like negative attributes I've got to talk about on the show. And yes, I know obviously the show is about history and it's an historical show. But essentially, like, obviously there's a lot of things that aren't going to be historically accurate. And that obviously were, and for the time it's what people said, and that's absolutely fine. Like, there's no issue with that. But I think with Martha's series, it became just too much, and there was too much of it. Like, it made it obvious. Whereas with Dot and Bubble, you were supposed to know that I forgot her name now, was racist, but like, to me it wasn't obvious, and it shouldn't be that way in media where we shouldn't be pointing out racism all the time, because we're, as a black Doctor Who fan, I'm kind of just like, because luckily I've never had racism within the fandom. I've had my Martha cosplay has been very well received, which I was worried about that it wasn't going to be, especially on TikTok, but it has, so I'm happy with that. But the thing with like Martha series as well, I felt like there's a lot of like racial connotations to, like, there was so much racism in this series, like it was very overloading, and I don't know if anybody feels that way. And it's no hate to Russell at all. There's no hate to him at all, because he was a writer in the early 2000s of Doctor Who. Like, even like, but like, did we notice how like Stephen Moffat like never wrote, like, he wrote Blink, right? And like, there was never, in Blink, that was one of the only episodes where there was never an act of racism, right? And what I love about Stephen Moffat is like, even like we had Mel's in series 6 who was friends with Amy Rory. Mel's was a mixed race woman, but like there was the rate there was no mention of her race because it didn't need to be said. Yes, of course, when it comes to like obviously, 1914, different era, and obviously her race was going to get brought up. That's totally that's fine. That's how it was going to go. That's what would happen, is because obviously in the during the First World War, there was still racism and still it was all this kind of stuff, and unfortunately people weren't educated in themselves in 1914. Speaking of not being educated, I wanted to talk about the Shakespeare Code, because um let's just say, so first of all, I wanted to discuss the doctor dismissing Martha's worries about facing racism in that era. It's so annoying because the doctor, obviously, if racism happened, I know he would stand up for me. Like, if I was his companion and I'm here chilling, I'm doing my thing, right? And then suddenly we're just walking by and somebody comes along and it's just is racist towards me, and it's clearly obvious. I know that I would trust the doctor in what's the word? Sticking up for me when there's a racist about. But it's like the way that 10 came off was he dismissed it because Martha said to him, she was worried. She was like, well, I'm not going to get carted off as a slave, am I? And he was like, well, why would ever they do that? And she was like, not exactly why, in case you haven't noticed. And then he's just like, just walk about like you're in the place. Works for me. It's like,
but hold on, am I all right? I'm not going to get carted off as a slave, am I?
Why would they do that?
Not exactly white, in case you haven't noticed.
I'm not even human. Just walk about like you're in the place. It works for me.
But doctor, that is not the point we're trying to say here, okay? Like, it's not the point we're trying to say. Because if it was Rose, and say if, like, trigger warning, but like say if Rose had been essayed, right, for example, he would in a heartbeat defend her, right? And he would in a heartbeat punch whatever mofo was like, doing that to Rose. So it's the fact that how Martha from day one is evident that she was a rebound. Is from day one. And if you look at it in contrast to the 12th Doctor, when they thought Bill was like a slave, or I think they thought it was either they thought she was a slave or like she wasn't, like she was sitting down and it was like, because she wasn't white, and the Doctor punched the man who was racist towards her, which is what should have, he should have the same way how the Doctor should have reassured Martha and said, oh, that's my companion, I'm gonna stick up for her, that's my boo. Now, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm a delusional whovian, and it's only been in the recent couple of years where I have had a thing for like mixed race couples. So you can kind of tell where this is going. But I delusionally ship Martha and 10. And it's not only because of the mixed race couple thing, but also because I just genuinely feel like if he hadn't have met I feel like if he hadn't have met Rose first, I genuinely think that something would have happened between him and Martha, because Rose was listen to my delusion, guys, okay? Listen to my delusion. And this is my delusion, okay? This is me being delusional, because essentially, like, he didn't have he wouldn't be going through the heartbreak that Rose is him losing Rose has made him go through, right? So essentially, if he had never met Rose, or like say for whatever reason, like Martha ended up being in 2 seasons, I essentially feel like if we had just had Rose for season 1 and had Martha season 2 and 3, because I feel like Martha's season felt very short. And I don't know if it's because I've watched it many times to realize it's too short, because I was rewatching the series yesterday, and like I watched the whole thing yesterday, and it just feels really short, because I think also a lot of it is definitely because a lot of it's two-parters. So bear with me, hold on, guys. My throat's been a bit scratchy today, so if I do end up pausing, it's because I'm drinking drink. But yeah, essentially, it's just one of those situations, and it's like, I just, it's very long, and sorry, it feels very short, and I think because you got the two-parters, you got Human Nature, Family of Blood, you've also got the three-part with the Master, hello, with the season finale, and it's just, it just feels very short. And I'm not playing a race card here. I'm not saying it's because she's black. I'm just saying because it felt really short. And I feel like we needed like at least another season to get to know Martha. And I do genuinely feel that, if Martha had met the Doctor before Rose, if Martha had actually if the Doctor had not met Rose, I feel like we would have had that. So sorry, guys. But that's me being delusional. Bear me 1 second, guys. Anyways. So we got that out of the bag. Now, I wanted to also talk about the political correctness of Shakespeare, because look, I understand that it was a different time, and it was in the 18th century. I'm gonna say so anyways, now obviously, like, this is the thing with Shakespeare is how do I, like, I know it's a different time and it was like the 18th century, something like that, but like, he literally calls her like four of the most like derogatory names you could probably ever call someone: Queen of Afric, Blackamoor Lady, Ethiop girl, and then he calls her Dark Lady at some point, and I'm just there like, because the thing is, when I was 7, right? Because I was 7 when Series 3 came out. So when you're 7 years old, you don't clock this kind of, you don't realize what's going on. And then it's only when you get older, because I remember rewatching the episode when I was, how old was I? 15? And because I'd watched obviously all the way throughout the time, and then I'd watched it like another time when I was 15, and I heard him say Queen of Africa, and I was like, the fuck? I was like, what do you mean? Because if someone's calling me the Queen of Africa, bitch, I'm gonna see, so there we go, I'm gonna wanna like punch him in the face, because I mean, I get obviously like, and the thing is that Martha couldn't even do anything about it because it was that time. And the Doctor, like, again, the Doctor didn't even defend her because he was rubbing his eyes and saying it's political correctness gone mad. Sir, you could have said to Shakespeare, that isn't how you talk to her. That isn't the correct term. Not political correctness gone mad. And look, I get it. We're in the Shakespearean times. Also, there was the bit when he was like, oh, also Elizabethan England, not so far from your time. But like, obviously slavery was after the Elizabethan period, but essentially, like, I need to do some more research on this because I don't know how true this is. But there were obviously black people in Elizabethan England, but to the extent that I don't know how racism worked back then, which I need to do my own research on because that's on me. But yeah, the Doctor just dismissed so much in this episode. It's always kind of bugged me that what Shakespeare's always said, but like, like I said again, he's dismissed her racism, and that for me is nasty work. Like that's just nasty work. That is, because it's like, what do you mean you're like dismissing her racism? Because How is that supposed to deflect from a situation? But then again, listen, Martha was the doctor's rebound, and I feel like he took her. I feel like he took her because yes, she saved his life, but also he was low-key kind of showing off and didn't realize how much danger he was going to put her in until the season finale, which we now know. But it's like, y'all, I don't even like. It's just insane. Like, it's absolute insanity. This man, like, he doesn't, like, it really bothers me as well because, like I've been saying, like, throughout the series, there are, like, it's just, the racism is so, it's too much. It's so much. Like, with Bill's series, there was one episode of racism and that was it. With Jodie's era, there was literally one episode, which was a historically accurate episode. It was a Rosa Parks episode. Okay? That was one episode. And it never happened again. Okay? Even the fucking villain in the villain in the bloody in the episode was a racist. Like, do you know what I mean? So like, it was just like, but it was a one-off thing, and it never happened again. And then obviously we had Dot and Bubble. That episode in itself was it was something. It was something. I can tell you that now. It was something. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. So another thing I wanted to also bring up as well was I think we all know which episode I'm going to bring up next is Human Nature and Family Blood. This episode is just, this two-parter alone is crazy work. Now, if it wasn't for the racism aside, like, it is a really good episode. It isn't one of my favorite episodes, but it is a really good episode. I will say, again, when I was 7, didn't see the racism coming at all. Didn't see it coming. There was like no, obviously now because it was 1914, you would expect there to be some sort of like animosity towards the black folk. That, you know, that happened. That's history. That's done and dusted. That's not the issue. Like I said again, it's just so much. It was so much in one episode. You could have just had Martha have a racist encounter and be done with it. But no, it was in both episodes. Obviously you had like this, so they had the first episode, the start of the episode. And obviously, the first episode, Human Nature. And you basically had Martha and Jenny scrubbing on the floor. And then you had that little dweeb, I forgot his name now. The guy who played Harry Lloyd, who played him. His what's his name? Baines' friend, Jeremy Baines' friend, was like, because obviously he's like, you there? Sorry, I'll turn right. You there? Or I'll just put a clip in afterwards. It's fine. But like, because I know I'm an actor, but like, just yeah. He was like, you there? And he's like, what is your name? I'm gonna do it along those lines. What is your name? Martha Jones, sir. Well, Miss Jones, with hands like that, I don't know how you ever get that floor clean. Jeremy Baines deserved what he got, because you are just as bad about laughing about the racist remark your friend has said. Okay? You are just as bad. Let me tell you that now. Jenkins didn't, I think his name was Jenkins, he didn't deserve to live. I can't lie to you. Karma's a bitch. Okay, y'all? I believe in karma heavily. Like, that entire interaction will never not get me mad. That was just one incident, right? And then you obviously have when the family, and then there is I only clocked this scene yesterday, and this season's been out for 17 years, by the way. There's the scene when they're in like the courtyard, and they're obviously, you know, they're training them to be soldiers, right? Scene in the courtyard, And essentially, right, so obviously they've got these like little fake men, you know, and they're pretending to shoot them, right? They're talking about, you know, fighting and they're getting them ready for in case there's a war on, whatever. Then the headmaster says something and he goes against the Dark Continents. Sir, I'm just going to go up to the mic a bit because what do you mean by that, sir? What do you mean Dark Continents? Like, do you mean the land where men came from is in Africa? Do you mean Europe? Do you mean the Caribbean? No, you're talking about the Dark Continents. So in my eyes, that means Africa and the Caribbean. Okay, we're going to go there. And I just like, bro, it's just so, it's one of the, it's like I said again, it's unnecessary. It's just creating unnecessary racism for no, like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's always when it's subtle that makes it worse. And then it gets even worse because then obviously now Martha realizes that the family have found them and she's trying to ask about the watch. And, you know, she's like saying, you're the doctor, yada, yada, yada. And then he was like to Joe Redfern, oh, cultural differences. Bitch, it's not a story. Okay, I understand he was human and I understand obviously he was in his mindset, he was human, he wasn't believing her. Cool, fine. But that comment was unnecessary. Also, she was a maid inherited by the family. The disrespect when this maid clearly like looked after your family. Like, please, like the disrespect. And then when she slaps him, obviously he throws her out, right? Like, what is this? And then it gets even worse in Family Blood when the bones of the hand scene. And it's like, Joan, also, can we say F you to Joan Redfern? Because what in the bumbleclot ass? Because what happened? By the way, because I am a black woman, you will tend to hear like Caribbean slang. So like, I do apologize. But like, it's just, it's insanity. Like, I don't understand. To me, it's insane. At this point, I get it's for the time period and I understand that, but it's so much. You could have had, like, for example, Rosa Parks was a one-time event. That was the main event leading up to, right? I mean, yes, you had Ryan get slapped by the white guy because he picked up the wife's handkerchief to hand it to her for help, and I was like, okay, cool. But it's like, it was a one-time event. Whereas this episode, if it wasn't Martha getting ridiculed for her race, it was Martha getting ridiculed because she's a maid. Like Martha was the punching bag of the episode. Even though the doctor said to her before he became human, do you trust me? Because it all depends on you. That is literally what he said. You can hear the clip back as well, because I'll play it for you right now. Okay. So, you hear that clip? Okay. Like, God. Anyways, like, and then speaking of, obviously, rest of the series, you couldn't go without, I think by the time it got to Blink, it kind of died down a little bit. In 42, thank God there wasn't any racism in 42 because I would have lost my shit. And once again, it showed that 42 showed that white men can be attracted to black women and black women can be attracted to white men. Like, it's, so it showed when Martha had a cheeky little kiss at the end of the episode. So, yeah. Yeah. So, and then obviously we get to season finale. Oh, God, there's just so much to unpack in the season finale because, first of all, obviously you got the first episode. Obviously you got Utopia, and then you've got Sound of the, what was it? Utopia, Sound of the Drums, and I'm so bad. Oh my God, guys, because this is how you know I don't watch. Ooh. This is how you know that I don't watch series 3 enough because oh, sorry guys, you just heard something Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll burn it out. I'll edit it out. Anyways, but yeah, series 3, the season finale. Yeah. So essentially, I'm gonna look up like the name. Obviously, like, you know, the obviously, hold on, the episodes. It's really, guys, this is so bad. I do have the DVD, but I don't want to move my stuff. Doctor Who series 3. Series 3. Okay. So that's it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Utopia, Sound of the Drums, Last of the Time Lords, right? Utopia, from what I remember, there was nothing really in terms of race. There was nothing like that at all. Although I will say, in Sound of the Drums, when there was the phone call conversation between Martha, her mum, and her dad. The way they were carted out in the police van kind of gives me the ick. Looking back, it didn't, but like low key, it gives me a bit of the ick because it just feels like, you know, like those typical like 2000s cop shows when like you had like the black family or like the black man getting arrested and for a crime he didn't do. That's the kind of vibe it gave. You know, and that's one thing I had an issue with. Then there was obviously in Sound of the Drums, but also, can I just say that I'm pretty sure the accurate of the gun use was not accurate because they wouldn't have like, because the only ones that have the guns are the terrorist police and the armed police, innit? But I don't know. Do you know what? We're not even gonna get into that because I don't even know anymore at this point. BLM, anyways. BLM, Black Lives Matter, guys. ACAB, just to let you know. Sound of the Drums, obviously they're on the run now, and the Master. I'll play the clip for you guys so you can see the clip properly as well. But the Master literally says your public enemies number 1, 2, and 3, and then he talks about them fitting a certain demographic. Now I don't know about you guys, but that to me, if Martha hadn't have been in that trio, would he have said that? Demographic who? Because what do you mean by that, sir? What do you mean by that, sir? What do you mean by that, sir? What do you mean? Because that's just weird. Also, having Martha's family as like his servants was fucking weird. Like, it was weird as well. Like that, the connotations of that were just weird. I just didn't like it. Like, because when you first meet them, you're like, oh yeah, it's typical, like, you know, family issues, whatever. And the season finale. Can we also just talk about how in that finale, like, definitely, Lucy was getting A-worded because the constant like changes in scene where she had black eyes and stuff like that. We'll go into that another time because that's a whole thing. But like, that was a whole thing in itself, and I find it so grim. I just, looking back now, it's very nasty. It's just nasty work, on the Master. Like, the Master is not only racist, but he, A-word too. Like, the fuck? But apart from that, you know, so, but yeah, it's just like that 3-parter is just it's just the whole thing's ridiculous. But not only, you know, like I said, not only is the Master and A-word, he's also a racist, and it's like, oh, this is nice. But like, you know, with like the whole, I think definitely, because the thing as well, like with Francine, she became that typical black mum that no one listens to and ended up being right. And it's just like, oh, like, it's so sick, and I'm just sick and tired of it. Like, it's literally, my apologies, guys. It's just, it can be really tiring with that trope as well. And I think I don't really watch the season finales very much because I kind of, I think, do you know what it is? Deep down with those episodes, I feel like because there's a lot of racial connotations to it, I find it hard to watch them. But also, it's just an episode full of, it's a really dreadful, like, dreadful in a sense of, like, it's just full of dread, and it's not nice because, you know, it's, yeah, it's not very nice sometimes. But it's all good. It's fine. So lastly, I just wanted to like kind of so I just wanted to end the episode kind of Martha's impact on the show, and you know, as a young Black woman who essentially like watched Doctor Who from pre Martha to now, essentially Martha has definitely been wasted the last 14 years because like we could have had her in the 50th, and I get obviously that, you know, Freema might have been busy. That's fine. She's a working girl, as she should be. She should be busy. But you know, the season as a whole really did something for her. I feel like obviously Doctor Who did something for Freema. And essentially it really gave her this kind of pave way for other actors, like, you know, Pearl Mackie who played Bill, you know, Ryan, Yaz, you know, all them people. And I just feel like as well, Martha's been wasted because we could have had her in the 60th. And then they've said there's going to be a spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea. They've put Martha's sister in it, but not Martha. And it's like, huh? And then apparently she's not playing Tish. I don't believe it. I don't believe that for a second. I actually don't believe that she is not playing Martha's sister. Russell's lied to us in the past. So Russell's gone kind of psych. I am very glad that especially with Martha's impact as well, like obviously people don't like Martha because she came after Rose. That's fine. But a lot of it does stem in racism, and it's really sad because as a Doctor Who fan, I've luckily not had racist attacks yet. And I'm saying yet because I've been a fan for 20 years and I've not been on the social wave. I've only been on the social media wave for the last, I'd say, 14 years. But it's like I've not yet had that happen. But I'm very excited for, you know, more things. I definitely feel like we could have had even just a little glimpse of like Martha, like, you know, what she was doing. I do know the last we heard of Martha, which is canon, which was the Sarah Jane Adventures, which was the Sarah Jane, like, Farewell Sarah Jane audio thing they did, which made me cry. I bawled my eyes out, guys. Like, I bawled my eyes out. It was so sad. But I think Martha and Mickey had a child and they called it August, and I was like, oh my god, because it was Sarah Jane's funeral, and they were invited, obviously. And it was, oh my god. So like I mean we do have the Big Finish series, which Big Finish is kind of confusing because I know a lot of it isn't canon, but then, like, for example, I feel like the 10th Doctor and River audios aren't canon with the show because it just wouldn't work in the show. But like the Martha series is based off the year that she spent, you know, around the world talking about the Doctor. So I don't know, y'all. But it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely been a ride with Martha. We'll definitely be mentioning her more in the podcast, because I feel like she needs to get mentioned more because Martha is my favorite companion. For me, it's Martha, River, and Amy. Like, Martha, River, and Amy have impacted me in so many different ways. But I'm just, aside from the series, I'm also, like, you know, the series as a whole, you know, I'll repeat myself again, like I said, it was just so much racism. It was just too much. And I'm not saying Russell was a bad person for doing this, but I just, there's always a trope of like white men writing black struggle, and that's not what we want to do, guys. It's not what we want to do. Okay. But that is the end of this episode. I didn't want it to be too long because I didn't want you guys to get bored of me. But that's kind of my perspective on series 3. 25 years of life, and I've managed to get a noggin, but just I think we need to show Martha some more love, and I think Freema doesn't get the love that she deserves a lot of the time. I have seen it more in recent years with her getting a lot of love, and from Doctor Who fans that I didn't expect. So, and thank you, and you know, to those that are friends of mine, thank you so much for like, you know, complimenting my Martha cosplay and just being there for me for my Martha cosplay and just like complimenting her, because it means a lot. Martha as a character means a lot to me. I will meet Freema, guys. I am the #1 Freema stan at the moment, so I will meet Freema. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys had some sort of insight. There will be a lot more of like, you know, black discussion, like be it like not BLM discussions, but like you know, black characters discussions. At some point I will be discussing Dot and Bubble because I feel like it needs to be deep dived. This may not have been like a deep dive of like series 3, but it definitely relays my opinions on like Martha and like how it was just too much racism. Like it was too much for me to handle. If it was 1 or 2 episodes, I can buy by it. But the fact that how it was like it was a constant thing in the series, like how Martha's race outshined her ability to be a good companion, which luckily it didn't, because I didn't just see Martha for her race. I saw her for who she was. And Martha really taught you to kind of like, no matter what you're going through, like, you know, you will get through it. And that year alone kind of showed it for her. But thank you guys so much for joining the, you know, coming into the podcast and listening to me talk and ramble on for like the last like 45 minutes about my favorite show ever. So in terms of the podcast, it'll be like roughly every 2 weeks there'll be an episode. They'll usually be out by Friday. I'm gonna try and get this episode out before the weekend because I've got MegaCon in Birmingham, which I will be cosplaying Martha on the Sunday and live action Ariel from live action Little Mermaid on the Saturday. But you know, if you see me, feel free to say hi, get a photo with me, you know, you call. I'm apparently famous in the Doctor Who community now. I think I am. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for coming, listening in, taking time to listen in. Yeah, there will be every 2 weeks possibly on a Friday. I'll be releasing the podcast. It'll be filmed on a Tuesday and released on a Friday, hopefully. The only reason why it's being released today is because I thought I'd try and get it in before con, or I'd probably just edit it throughout the weekend and then get it on before Sat. I'll try and edit it for the next 2 days and try and get it on. I've now got a pack for MegaCon and deal with house drama at the moment. So like, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming, and I will see you in 2 weeks, sweeties. Thank you guys. Goodbye, sweeties.